welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So Michelle Obama has finally addressed those nagging divorce rumors that really circulated after she missed Jimmy Carter's funeral, missed the inauguration of Donald Trump. You can understand the latter, the former a little more mysterious.
And then, but there was more than that also, that there were several times
going out to dinner.
The former president was seen out at dinner by himself.
And sometimes with the two daughters, but not Michelle.
Sometimes with the daughters, not with Michelle. And so the rumors have been nagging. She finally addressed it on Sophia Bush's podcast and says that their marriage is okay, but she has made some very personal decisions and she doesn't care what you think.
I get to look at my calendar, which I did this year. It was a real big example of me, myself, looking at something that I was supposed to do, you know, without naming names. And I chose to do what was best for me. The interesting thing is that when I say no, for the most part, people are like, I get it, and I'm okay, right? And that's the thing that we, as women, I think we struggle with, like, disappointing people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so much so that this year people were, you know, they couldn't even fathom that I was making a choice for myself, that they had to assume that my husband and I are divorcing. You know, this couldn't be a grown woman just making a set of decisions for herself. Right.
Right.
But that's what society does to us.
So there are two issues here. One is what she said about women, and the second is what she said specifically about herself. On the specifically about herself part, I get it. I've read a lot of books on Michelle and Barack Obama, and she talks about, you know, how she hated politics. She did not like being in the White House when Barack was in the state legislature in Illinois. Really tough for her. But she did a lot of stuff that she didn't want to do. And I kind of hear that.
I understand that completely when it comes to Trump's inauguration.
I can answer what you're going to say.
Didn't expect, but
I can answer.
Carter's
no, I can answer it.
Funeral
I can answer it. I can answer
different.
I can answer it. Do you remember? And it was George Bush Sr.'s funeral when Donald Trump was there with Michelle and Barack Obama. She would not look at him.
Right.
The birthright citizenship,
I
get
it
for her.
I understand.
And I don't think she wanted to be around Trump. I really, because that's what she's talking about, when things I don't want to do.
I believe that's why she didn't want to go. And
I think it was Trump.
I even said to you at the time, because they sat them all in succession, she knew that they were going to end up sitting next to Trump.
Right.
And I guess that's what
she didn't want to do it.
But I don't know.
I think that's what it is. When I really heard it this time, that's what I heard. That I'm going to make my own decisions. I do not want to sit next to this guy.
And I know what she's saying about making decisions for yourself. I disagree with her that that's something that only women struggle with.
That's the second part.
Men struggle with that also.
That's the second part.
And do things that they don't want to. But if you are a former first lady, who am I to say that you have this duty? But
that's what she's saying. She's saying, I'm not going to deal with the duty anymore. I'm going to deal with what is good for me. That's what she's saying. That's what she's saying.
I guess.
I was a little disappointed with her saying, like, the female card, right? Because I don't think a lot of the speculation about their possible divorce had anything to do with her being a woman and getting criticized more because she's a woman. Had nothing to do with that. It simply had to do with her being absent at really big events, the ones that you guys mentioned. But also a month ago, we even got some videos and photos of Barack out with his daughters in LA at a Thai restaurant, and she wasn't there. So with certain things like that, stepping out in public where she was not being seen for a while, and it was like, where's Michelle? Where's Michelle? I think I can see why maybe she wouldn't go to some of the big public events like, you know, Jimmy Carter's funeral and stuff, because here she wants her own life back. Like you mentioned, Harvey, she's never been a fan of politics. I can see her wanting to step away, have some time for herself. But to say, like, people are only criticizing her and bringing up divorce rumors only because she's a woman is not fair.
She meant that women feel like they have to do certain things.
But stepping out for Thai food with your children and your husband?
But you also don't have to go to...
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I have with that is, look,
it just looks
women, you can't put any group in one box and say, women are this way, a certain race is this way, a certain sexual orientation is this way. People are different. And look, she is, what I know about her is she's brilliant and an incredibly strong person with a real belief, a belief, a view, a world view that she applies, and she's had to eat crow all these years.
I ate crow when I had to because we were in the White House,
and now I don't.
Now I don't have to, and now I'm going.
I just don't think to say all women have this thing about disappointing other people. It's like
I think that's a society thing. I think
no, it is a societal thing where it's like, oh, the woman should be there for the man. The woman should be by the man's side, which, by the way, she has done.
That's not what I meant.
Yes,
I meant that in society, we are all, male or female, whatever, we're all expected to do certain things.
Right.
Because you are part of the social contract. Right.
And we do stuff we don't want to do.
Sometimes you come to our holiday party. You don't really want to go. And you try to avoid it, but you come because
can I just
you
say,
have to.
We just had a really brutal morning meeting today, and I'm kind of sick of this, so lay off, okay?
Hey, it's Taylor from St. Louis, and Michelle Obama is loved by all of us. She will forever be the honorary first lady in the eyes of all of us, but the reality is Michelle has fulfilled her duties, and I'm not mad at her at all for saying she wants to do things for her. I think we are like that ex that she can't get rid of, and we have to learn to respect her privacy and allow her to live as much of a human life, or a normal life, that she possibly can. I mean, I think we have to call a spade at this point and say it's the end of an era. We won't get Michelle Obama the way that we've had her in the past.
You say you're not mad. You know who is mad? Justin Bieber.
There is a theme here between Michelle Obama and Justin Bieber, who is out in the desert. He has arrived in Palm Springs, there for Coachella. First weekend is coming up, but he is clearly not looking forward to all the attention he normally gets when he's out in public. Watch what happened as he was going to get some coffee with some buddies this morning in Palm Springs.
Why are you here? You already know. You just want money. Money. Go. Get out of here. All you guys want is money. Money. Get out of here, bro. Get out of here, money. That's all you care about, money? That's all you care about, guys. What do you know? It's money. You don't care about people. Only money. No people. You don't care about human beings. Go.
He walked around to every person who was out there with a camera and made his point about they want money, and then there was no confrontation beyond that. He walked in and got coffee, and that was it. But he's put everyone on notice. I don't want you making money off of me.
I mean, look, I see both sides to this. I mean, on one hand, obviously it's a public place. Those guys are there just doing their job. At least from the video we have, didn't really do anything crossing the line. I mean, the guy literally said, "Good morning, Justin," and then he lost it. But like on the other hand, I mean, the guy has been dealing with this since he was a teenager, and I could see it getting a little annoying when everywhere he goes, there's people that are wanting interviews and snapping photos of him. So kind of see both sides.
Well, and also we don't know if anything happened before.
Prior to the video.
Whether it's earlier this morning. Yeah.
Purchased from an agency. But.
Right. Or maybe yesterday, we don't know. Maybe something just really triggered him. That's what it feels like to me, that there's something that happened.
Why? Yeah, because why is he
all of a sudden
now
out of the blue?
I will say, look, he has been talking a lot on social media about his mental health, and much like we just said about Michelle Obama, maybe Justin Bieber's decided he's not going to do certain things, and he doesn't want to be photographed. It's going to be difficult for him being
when you go to Coachella, especially.
Right, and when you go to Coachella, are people going to take photos? Most certainly.
Hey guys, Sheila Zoll, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So I think we've been watching this unfold kind of in slow motion, right? We're hearing about the connection possibly between him and Diddy, him and Usher. That whole thing is sort of unfolding right now. And I think there's a lot of trauma to unpack. And it could potentially just be that he is over it, right? I get that those guys were not particularly in his face, but I think that we are watching a guy who is struggling pretty deeply. And I think we need to see the bigger picture here.
What I think and hear, I do not dismiss everything you just said, honestly. Okay, we're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, President Trump's tariffs and the tariff war in particular with China. Some people, certainly Democrats, feel he has gone too far. There's one person who says he needs to go further. This isn't enough. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank is going to be here with what he thinks President Trump should be doing with China in particular. Well, finally, a little bit of good news and some bad news from the Trump administration on tariffs. He put a 90-day pause on the global tariffs for everyone except China. Sort of like, what's the thing you say, for you?
Yeah, for you.
Actually, it went up. Now the tariff for China is going to be 125%.
So this is interesting because I think the question is, did Trump blink by pausing these other tariffs? Because he said he wasn't going to.
Or did he put more pressure on China?
Well, I think, what he had said was, I've got all these countries coming to me trying to negotiate. So why then take the heat off if that's what you're doing? But he did. And he's now lasering in on China.
Well, it certainly seems like China is the end goal. That's the one he really wants to even the playing field with, right? Some people feel he hasn't done enough, including Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, who says there is a much bigger number. 125% tariff is not nearly high enough. And Kevin is joining us right now with his plan on how to deal with China. Kevin, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, Kevin.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, I'm fascinated by what you said, that you want to slam the heads of the Chinese government against that wall. I want to get into something more fundamental, and I'm so happy we're talking to you. I don't understand why we want to go back to being a manufacturing country. We're a service country now. And with AI and everything else, isn't this the time to pivot rather than to go back in time? Because we're never going to make things as cheaply as they can in other countries. So why not embrace being a service country rather than trying to go back?
Yeah, but that's not really what the China narrative is about right now. There's some imbalances that have existed since 2020 when China joined the World Trade Organization and said they would abide by its rules. They never did. And what they continued to do was steal IP, many of it from my companies and millions of other companies, and then take these products and services and make them available at much lower prices in our own markets under different brands on Alibaba, on Amazon. But it gets worse. They actually use these technologies to advance their own economy at the expense of the work done by great American entrepreneurs. That's my whole point, and it's time to level that playing field. Very specifically, I want to be able to litigate in China the same way they're able to litigate in using our courts. I want them to abide by our rules on how their public companies are listed, and I want to be able to list mine over there. I want to compete on a level playing field. I'm happy to compete on a level playing field, but I think we're going to have to delist their companies because they don't even abide by our GAAP accounting rules, and they're getting away with it, and that's got to stop. I also want the ability to actually enter their markets to compete with their products and services the same way they do here. They're afforded so many luxuries in democracy and access to our courts and access to our capital that we don't have reciprocal rights for. It's over. It's got to end. And the way to do it, as I've suggested, and everybody has their own idea, but mine is simple. The tariffs go to 400% until Xi gets on a plane and agrees to meet with Trump, and all this stuff gets negotiated. China is not the same as any other country on the list. They steal, they cheat, and it has to end.
So, Kevin, you think that that 400% or pick any other astronomical number will actually get Xi to come and actually sit at the table? Because he's, to this point, has made it sound like he's not gonna give in. And do we have the wherewithal to go toe to toe with them? I mean, if he's not going to give in, don't we all just end up paying the price in the interim?
Here's what you have to think about with Xi. He has to keep his people employed. That's the number one mandate he has. That's very important for him. When all of a sudden he is cut off from the world's largest economy and largest consumer market, that's the United States, that whole premise is at risk. What's going to bring them to the table is to have a reciprocal agreement and level the playing field so that we can trade. I want to do business in China. I have no problem with the Chinese people. I have a huge problem with their government. We have to fix this problem. Xi will get on a plane and meet Trump somewhere in the world, and they'll have to work this out. That's all I want. And everybody else wants the same thing, but now is the time.
It has been a tit for a tat in this whole thing where China retaliated. Now Trump has gone up again. There's a possibility that we will just shut ourselves down from China and they'll shut themselves down from us. If that happens, if they can't make a deal, if nobody blinks, who loses most?
China.
Why?
They're the smaller economy. They depend on access to U.S. markets and the U.S. IP. That's my assumpmption.
But who has to do those jobs then, though, Kevin? So you're right. If Xi doesn't bow and then his people are unemployed, where are the goods being made?
India, Thailand, Cambodia. There's lots of people who like to pick them up. It's a matter of timing and move. I've moved many of my factories out of China a long time ago to Thailand. Love Pop Greeting Cards is one of the biggest greeting card companies in America. The laser, Hewlett-Packard American-made laser cutters are sitting in Vietnam. It's American capital. Some of mine has actually put that company in place. We have a great trading relationship with them, and now the tariffs are going to go to zero. It's a good outcome. We can make it very tough for China, but I'd rather see them come to the table. My message is, and I say this on behalf of millions of other investors and American consumers, listen, we got no problem with Chinese people. Let's just level the playing field with the government. This has got to be fair. You can't steal our stuff anymore. We're done with that.
Okay, last question. You are one of the best businessmen in America, and I mean that. So if you're right that China really is the evildoer here, and you say that if there is that stalemate, we'll just go to other countries, isn't it a strategic mistake in terms of negotiating to impose tariffs on every country in the world? Because to get leverage over China, you want to say to China, we'll just go here, we'll go here, we'll go here. But we're shutting ourselves off from Canada. We're shutting ourselves off from India. We're shutting ourselves off from all these other countries. Wouldn't it make sense to laser in with one tariff rather than the whole world?
Harvey, I got good news for you. About 8 minutes ago, that's exactly what happened.
I know, but only for 90 days. Only for 90 days.
That's plenty of time to negotiate. Hey, guys, I got to go into these Senate hearings. I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Wanted to, it was a good last question, but I also wanted to ask him how this is sitting with his countrymen. He's Canadian, and we know that they're also getting hit with these tariffs.
Well, I know.
And I know that I get the economics of what he's saying. I don't know that until that deal is made.
My last question. I'm sorry. It's not that Trump paused the tariffs. I think he may have paused the tariffs because the stock market was tanking. And people were really hurting and they were getting angry. But what I'm saying is, if China really is what he's saying and what Trump is saying, don't antagonize every other country in the world.
Some of those other countries are already trying to make deals.
He says.
He says.
He says. We're going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, the return of the direwolf from extinction. It has happened, and the guy behind Game of Thrones was one of the first people to get to meet the new direwolf. You're going to hear what he had to say about it. Is this a good idea to bring animals back from extinction? Not so sure. Jeff Corwin of the Jeff Corwin Experience will be here.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall. Yeah, right.
It's TMZ.
Those are not ordinary puppies.
That is crazy.
That is a really exciting sound if you are into science fiction becoming reality. Those were direwolves, a species that went extinct, 10,000 years ago? And now, through science, they have been brought back to life. And one of the first people to get to meet those puppies, I think this is really cool of the company that did the genetic splicing here to make this happen. They invited George R.R. Martin to actually meet them. And
Game of Thrones
fans will know that direwolves were featured in the series, and So they wanted him to actually get to meet him. He said he was floored by it. It was one of the most amazing things he's ever seen. So he's on board and thinks this is a good idea. But for people who remember Jurassic Park, they're not so sure that bringing back extinct animals is a path we want to go down. Is there reason for concern?
And how did they do this?
And how do they do it? Well, it's certainly much more scientific than we understand. But that's why we have our good buddy Jeff Corwin from the Jeff Corwin Experience here to help us understand this. Jeff, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, guys.
Jeff, I'm so fascinated by this. Can you explain for people like us,
layman,
how they did this, and does it apply to all species that are now extinct?
So basically, every living organism has a genotype, and that is their genetic fingerprint, and that's expressed in the physical characteristics, which we call a phenotype. Right? That's who you are based on your genetic evolution as a unique type of living creature. Now, what they have done is they have found the most similar living creature that could serve as a host in two ways: host for a mother to give birth, and a host for the egg to hold that genetic material. So they took fossilized DNA, just like they did in Jurassic Park. They took it from a tooth and some other stuff, and it ranged from 12,000 years old to almost 50,000 years old. And they scrubbed out all the closest cousin, which would be your regular wolf species, your gray wolf, and they scrubbed out the parts that didn't fit, and they put in the parts that were the dire wolf. And they tried to basically put together a puzzle, and that's how they did this. So
these are 100% dire wolves. They're not like a mix of the two.
No,
they are not
it is
100% dire wolf.
Because I thought you said they scrubbed the wolf DNA.
No, they scrubbed a lot of it, but not all of it.
Not all of it. Okay.
They're still they are a holotype. They're as close as we can get. And sometimes that close is really close, but you can have a fake Rolex watch and you walk into that dealer and he's going to know that's not a real Rolex. So the question is, guys, is this valuable? Well, it is. Scientifically, it's important. But ecologically, conservation, my question is, what is the value? What is the value of bringing back something beyond the fascination of it that has been extinct for 12,000 years, where there is no place for it to live wild? And my other question is, if we take all these resources, it must have cost tens of millions, if not more, to create these direwolves. It's estimated to make a woolly mammoth out of an elephant with ancient DNA. It'll cost hundreds of millions of dollars. What could I do with that $100 million today to save something?
To save an animal that's on the verge of extinction.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with climate change and with everything that seems to be going extinct now, it seems like a tool like this is really useful to regenerate these animals that are almost extinct, or even those that are,
but more recently,
to preserve the ecological balance of the world.
I don't buy it.
Really?
No, I don't think so. No.
Why?
Because I would rather say, because it's like that whole argument. You know what, guys? Let's go to Mars or go to other planets and find strange life. Guess what? We have strange life here. Instead of fantasizing about going in the past to rekindle extinct species, why don't we just focus on the amazing species we're about to lose right now? Give me that $10 million to make a direwolf, and I want to save the 40 Java rhinos that are left, right? I want to help restore coral reefs off Florida, which only 4% survive. The Mexican gray wolf is just as amazing as a direwolf. There's about less than 200 left. We lose 3,000 acres of rainforest every hour. How could I use that resource to save that? So I'm not saying it isn't fascinating and that there isn't a value, but we need real, applicable world opportunities today to save. We're in such a catastrophic state. Where's it going to live? You bring back a mammoth.
Where does it live? Where are they right now?
They're from the Pleistocene. They lived in cold place. Well, right now they're in a secure facility in Texas.
Yeah, and an undisclosed, they don't want to tell anyone, but undisclosed location.
Is that
in
wild,
Texas.
being in high fenced electric fencing with security? I'm not saying this isn't, I don't want people, I'm not a Debbie Downer here. It's very fascinating. Although my wife would say I am a Debbie Downer about everything. but, you know, and I'm so hungry right now that I'm hangry. So this has got me going.
Okay, we're going to get you. We're going to let you go get some food.
We're going to let you get some
We wanted
food.
to get your take on this. We needed it, the knuckleheads that we are. Jeff, really
thank
appreciate it.
you so much. This is fascinating.
I'm sure you're going to delve into this more on Wildlife Nation.
Absolutely.
You'll have more to say on your show, so everyone should check that out. Thanks again,
guys.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right.
Wow, this is interesting. Okay.
It is fascinating.
And they're cute. They're really cute.
Until they rip your throat out.
Until they rip your throat out. We're going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, Mickey Rourke and JoJo Siwa, why would they ever be in the same place? Well, they're both on Big Brother, and it has already turned into a you-know-what show. We will tell you why Mickey is rubbing producers the wrong way, and JoJo, when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live, a clash of generations here, and certainly of just ideals between, I never thought I'd put these two people in the same sentence, JoJo Siwa and Mickey Rourke.
Really?
But I'm sure that's what the producers of Celebrity Big Brother UK wanted.
Right.
And they got it, but very early on day one, it has already turned into a disaster, certainly from JoJo's side of things, because Mickey Rourke was...
By the way, a disaster you could see coming.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think the producers probably suspected this, but
Right.
they've had to step in now. So here's what happened. They have not released the footage yet because it's actually going to be airing tonight in the UK. But what all the reports say, Mickey Rourke looked at JoJo Siwa, who came out a few years ago, right? And he said, are you into boys or girls? And she said, my partner is non-binary. And he said, well, if I'm in here more than 4 days, you won't be gay too long. That was the start. And then he said he wanted a cigarette, but he used a British
term, which is also a homophobic slur.
Right. And JoJo and others in the house thought that he was talking to her. He said, no, I'm not talking to you. It just kept going back and forth. And so producers actually stepped in.
Which is not British.
And she's not British. So she certainly didn't take it that way. But the producers already had to step in and give Mickey Rourke a stern warning.
Mickey, Big Brother thinks your language was offensive and unacceptable.
All right. I can understand that.
As a result, Big Brother is giving you a formal warning.
Right. I apologize. I don't have dishonorable intention. I'm just talking smack, you know? Boy, did I get chewed out.
Did you?
Yeah.
You got in trouble?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's not what you say, it's how it lands. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't say I didn't mean this.
I understand it. You might have thought it would be uninsulting, but it's the way it's perceived on other people. So JoJo was very upset earlier, bless her. But
you were, sorry.
Obviously, he said it. They warned him and they gave him a very stern warning. Essentially, hey, look, you're on very thin ice now, Mickey, and if you do this again, they're gonna boot you out of the house, bottom line, and not the other contestants. Like, you're gonna be kicked off of the show. We'll see if he can behave himself. But he is okay for now, but I would
By the way,
call me a cynic.
But
the
producers are getting exactly what they want.
Well, not only what they want, what are they using to promo the show tonight? They're using this.
Yeah.
They're like, Mickey, that's terrible. Keep going. Keep going.
I mean, that's what I mean. I'm sorry for being...
I don't know how the vote turns out, but Mickey Rourke, before going in to vote, did say, I'm going to go vote the lesbian out real quick. So, it seems like Mickey would be the guy that the others would vote out, but I'm sure the producers are like,
oh my God, I'm sorry.
Hey, it's Brandon. I'm from Toronto. And in regards to Mickey Rourke, I feel like he's just doing it to himself at this point. Like, the comments were so unnecessary, and then he's commenting saying, oh, I'm just talking smack, when you can see on JoJo Siwa's expression that she is not having it whatsoever. And honestly, if he gets voted out, I'm not surprised.
Mickey Rourke is not British either, correct?
No. And
Okay,
by the way,
so how is he using that?
regardless of sexual preference, the fact that he was even hitting on JoJo Siwa,
I know.
he's in his 70s, she's 20-something. Like, anyway.
We are going to move on.
Yes, to Justin Baldoni getting some support from someone I'm sure he probably does not want it from, and that is Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
Who is sitting in Rikers prison.
He is sitting in Rikers prison. He says he has something in common with Justin Baldoni, that they have both been treated unfairly, he says, by the New York Times.
Yes, so Harvey Weinstein told us that he's been watching all of this play out, the battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, and he sees a lot of similarities. He says, watching Justin Baldoni take legal action against the New York Times and its reporters hit me hard. It brought back everything I experienced when the Times reported on me in 2017. They did the same thing, cherry-picked what fit their story and ignored critical context and facts.
Now, whether he wants Harvey Weinstein as an ally or not, that is precisely what Justin Baldoni is arguing in the lawsuit.
Harvey, I covered Weinstein's criminal cases ad nauseum. I interviewed him several times, and one of the big issues that he repeatedly told me, he had huge problems with the way the press was covering him. He would consistently say the New York Times and other publications were cherry-picking information out of emails and text messages and not telling the full story and going with a false narrative.
Yeah, and I know his attorneys said that in court several times, but at the end, though, Jamie, I mean, he did cop to all this, didn't he? Like, once he was convicted, I believe there was a statement that he released to the New York Times sort of apologizing.
Hi, this is Susan from Palm Springs, California. And maybe it's just me, but I think Harvey Weinstein is the last person that should be commenting on journalistic integrity.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know whether he has a point or not. I mean, his opinion is that they had an agenda when they wrote the story. Whether it's true or not, that's his opinion.
I just think Justin Baldoni and his team feel that they've been winning this PR-wise anyway with the public.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Coachella's coming up in 2 days. Are you dreading this because your town is going to be inundated with people?
I am. Yeah, the traffic is going to be horrendous, but it's great for the city. It brings in a lot of money, and so we're happy about it.
Are you going?
I'm not going, no.
Are you staying inside the whole time?
I'm going to stay inside as much as possible, yes.
Hunker down, hunker down.
Okay, we are going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, a crisis that started with the fires here in LA that has now become a statewide crisis. Wait until you hear how much it will cost in certain neighborhoods in California to get insurance if you are lucky enough to even rebuild a house. This is an alarming number and will affect millions and millions of people. There is a crisis, very clearly a serious crisis that Californians are going to be facing as we try to rebuild the three neighborhoods that were just decimated by the fires earlier this year.
But those neighborhoods now have impacted the entire state when it comes to insurance. There is a crisis in this state, that there are a lot of people, rich and not rich, who now have to rebuild, who literally walked away from the rubble with a duffel bag full of clothes and that's it. And now they have to rebuild their lives. And insurance may make that absolutely impossible. You are not going to believe the story you're about to hear. My dentist, John Marashi, is a very successful dentist. He lost his home in Pacific Palisades. At the time, he was actually building a new home for him and his family, and that survived. And he had to get insurance because the house is now finished, and he needs insurance to move in. The story he told me is so shocking, and this is not to tell a story about somebody who is well off. It's to tell a story about somebody who is emblematic of a huge problem that could cause thousands of people in this state not only to struggle, but not to recover because of what's going on.
Yeah, so we got to share this story with you. Joining us now, Dr. John Marashi. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, we appreciate
Thanks.
it. So, John, you got to tell them the story about fire insurance because this is just crazy.
It is. It's really insane. And I appreciate the opportunity to share what's going on. You know, I was very fortunate. It's like the universe knew that I needed a backup house, and it was spared from the fire. But at the time the fires happened, the house was still under construction. So over the past few months, we've been finishing construction. We just got certificate of occupancy a week ago, which has been fantastic for my family to move back in. But obviously, to convert from construction to a permanent residence, you have to change your insurance from a construction insurance to regular homeowners insurance. And there's a moratorium with all the major insurance companies coming back into the state, or the ones who are still here, issuing new policies. So I had a very limited shopping pool to even get bids. And then the shocker of it is that it came back at $175,000 just for the fire insurance component. Insane.
$175,000. And that you have to pay up front, right?
I was going to say, that number is shocking in and of itself. But the fact that, as was told me, you have to pay that all up front?
Yeah, there was no wiggle room on it for, can we reassess in 6 months if fire risk comes down or anything like that. And look, the point of the matter is not woe to me. It's if you think about this, there are thousands and thousands of people who are in Altadena, in Pacific Palisades, that in a year, in 2 years or 3 years, they're going to have their homes rebuilt. They got to come back in. And the reality is that the state of California and the city of Los Angeles have not done what's necessary to make us insurable again, that these rates can come back down to affordable levels. I mean, imagine, for someone who has, a modest home, and all of a sudden it costs, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 plus to insure it. You can come back home, but you're uninsurable. So you can't even afford to live where you used to. And so the fact that it's been radio silence from the governor, from the mayor, from DWP about how is legislation going to happen and how are they going to make it safe with power lines, brush clearing, building materials that are flame resistant, and getting the fire department funded, getting the water reservoirs full. All these things have to happen to make it so that the insurance companies will want to come back in and they can decrease their risk and get the premiums under control for the people. So, that's what my concern is that there's a massive effect on how it's going to affect people who want to get back into their communities.
I know that one of the insurance companies just announced yesterday that they may have to raise their rates almost 38%, as high as 38%, just to stay in business as these homes are rebuilt. So, yeah, you're right, John. You think about a lot of the homes, especially in Altadena, which is not like a super wealthy place, and when they finally do get into their homes, if they get back into a house there, how do you possibly insure it at those rates? It makes it impossible to move back there.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You told me the story yesterday, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So really appreciate you sharing this.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate this opportunity just to help spread the messaging that people need help, and there needs to be some massive action to get insurance affordable again for people.
Yep. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Taking a break.
All right. When we come back, Britney Spears dealing with heartbreak once again. We will tell you what's going on with her boyfriend, and is this a good or a bad thing for Brit's life?
There is a hearing set for mid-April to decide whether to re-sentence the Menendez brothers.
A TMZ exclusive.
You have a call from
Lyle Menendez.
The interview 35 years in the making.
My brother and I are cautiously hopeful who I've evolved into, who I've seen Lyle evolve into.
They're completely different men.
Have they served their time?
Would they really pose a danger to society?
Do you want to have them over for a dinner party at your house, Harvey?
TMZ presents The Menendez Brothers, The Prison Interview. Stream on Hulu now.
On to the next one for Britney Spears, or I don't know, maybe she'll end up going back to the last one. But she has broken up with her boyfriend, Paul Solis. This is, as far as we know, the second time that they've broken up, and it has always been a somewhat tumultuous relationship, to say the least.
By the way, that picture was from the Chateau Marmont after they got in a physical fight there.
Right.
And she ended up, I think, screwing up her ankle or something.
Yeah, and that was them leaving in the middle of the night after police and paramedics were called there. So there hasn't been any drama like that lately. And in fact, Britney's been kind of quiet as far as
social media
goes. But we're told that behind the scenes was not going very smoothly with Paul.
Well, yeah, he's moved all of his things out of her home. They're no longer living together, as you will. But she has been quiet on social media, and we know that she has kind of rekindled a relationship with one of her sons. And I'm wondering if that could be something that has played into that. You know, her sons have said that they're not a fan of what she posts on social media. And I'm wondering if that relationship with her son also has to do with this breakup. Like maybe she just wants to focus on herself and her kids and not this landscaper guy that she started dating off of a rebound from her divorce from Sam Asghari.
That's a theory, but I'm not buying that. I think it does have to do with that relationship, which is just incendiary. And, you know, it's not like it's the first one because that happened with Sam Asghari, too.
Right.
Hi, this is Gina from Fort Lauderdale. And yeah, I agree. I mean, you know what? At some point you have to move on. And I'm sure there's probably something underlying, you know, in the relationship. It's not working, you know, for whatever these reasons are that are happening. And I think it's time to move on and move forward.
Those are lofty goals, hard to achieve. Hard to achieve. What else do you guys want to talk about?
Hey guys, this is Leslie in Arkansas, and I just want to comment real quick on the Michelle Obama thing. I think we're being super hard on her. You know, she has had a lot on her plate, and we cannot judge her for what she's doing. There's a lot of mental health that goes on involved, so maybe she's just taking a step back for her own self.
I'm doing me, is what she's saying. One more.
Hey, this is Aaron from the Bronx. I want to say that most of us cannot relate to being chased down by paparazzi. So the overwhelming majority of people on Earth do not have that experience. So I think I'm inclined to agree with the guy that's been like a global sensation since he was about 10 years old. So yeah, I'm going to side with the Biebs.
Not the way it should work. No. But it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
You're right. We are going to take a break.
All right. So when we come back, Post Malone is baffled by something in Paris. Something happened to him on the street there that just has him wondering, what did I just see? Well, you can decide for yourself when you come back. Post Malone having some fun over in Paris. He experienced some magic.
This is really mind-blowing.
The street magician came up to him and pulled out a deck of cards.
Watch this really carefully.
Take the card. Look the card.
Okay.
It's good?
Okay.
Okay, you can put in the deck when you want.
Anywhere I want?
Yes.
All right.
Up. Okay. And I love your music, and I have a little present for you. Kinder Bueno, okay? And inside, look, just inside, there are one card. It's crazy if it's your card. Take it.
It is crazy if it is my card.
Yes.
All right.
Take it, and open it. That's your card? Thank you, bro.
That is pretty cool.
I watched it over and over. I don't.
It has to have to do with when he handed the card back to him. But I cannot figure out how it ended up in the wrapper.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. Dumb luck, maybe?
I don't know.
No. We have no idea. We'll see you tomorrow.